channel. I'm Raheel Khan.
And I'm Jonathan McDonald.
And we want to show you why we love Mount Union.
You know, a group of people got together, wanted to get a town chartered, and from my understanding, there was a man named Spears and Doherty. And those two fellows were responsible, and it's recorded in history, you know, with laying out the town.
If you stand on top of Jack's Mountain and you look, you see the two parts of Jack's Mountain come together at the Narrows, and then you see Stony Ridge, you see Chestnut Ridge, you see over here on Galbraith Ridge, which is across the river above. Anyway, they call it the Union of the Mountains. They all came together here. These valleys all kind of run together right here at Mount Union, and so they called it. The guy named it Mount Union.
Mount Union actually started as a station for the Pennsylvania Canal.
It just started where they built stores. A lot of the layout, the main part of the town was down in Water Street.
Okay.
And going back to in the 1800s, 1870, something like that, we had a canal coming through town. And the Pennsylvania Canal, and it ran, you know, throughout the state.
Newton Hamilton was the same way. Newton Hamilton, Mount Union, Jackstown, which later became next to Mapleton, Huntington, Lewistown, we were all stops on the Pennsylvania Canal.
So in a town like the canal coming through or the railroad coming through, that's where in all the towns they would just maybe build stores, people would move right to that area.
The railroads, the first railroad came through in the 1850s. Now you have to realize that the canal was made pretty much by hand with a lot of labor and some horses and cranes and primitive kinds of things. And then that was in 1830. So for like 20 years, the canal was the method of transportation. And then around 1850, the Pennsylvania Railroad was formed, and eventually it was able to purchase the right-of-way of the canal. And because the canal had this leveled area the whole way through, right? And so they ran tracks along that, deviating every so often from it if it was too curvy.
So this area really started to take off after the railroad and after the Civil War.
In the industrial boom that took place in this town, now you got to remember in the around 1880, there were probably 800 people lived in this town. And during the First World War, which was about 1917, 1980, so what are you talking, 30 years later? There was no way to really count them, but every place had somebody living, and there were probably over 5,000 people here. That's not an exact figure, but there probably were. And those people were immigrants, mainly immigrants who came from Europe or who moved up from the South. And so we've got this real mix of people who are European immigrants mixed with native, earlier Scots-Irish and German immigrants. And in addition to that, we had workers come up from the South to work here. In the brickyards, the refractories here, we 3 of them running.
With the railroad, we had a lot of businesses with the brickyard. We had 3 brickyards, you know, that made brick for the coke ovens. And that's what I think put Mount Union, you know, from my understanding history, you know, put Mount Union on the map.
3 brickyards running 3 shifts a day.
But then in 1899, 1900, then the Harvest and Walker, which is in the western part of town, western part of the town. That was our first brickyard. Then after that, shortly after that, we had another brickyard, and that was the General Brickyard. That was down where the Little League Field, Taylor League, Medical Center. Then they started another brickyard, and that was over, like if you're going over to Kistner.
Yeah.
Before you come to the Kistner Bridge. We were at one time the largest producer of silica brick or brick for the coke ovens in the world.
And these brickyards, you say, well, what does that have to do with war machinery? Well, to make steel, you have to have hot metal contained in some kind of vessel. so that you can mold it, heat it, mold it, and stuff like that. And what's that going to be made out of? It has to be something that can take the temperature hotter than molten steel, right? And so what did they use these bricks for that we made here from the silica, this Ganister stone? They made the linings for the kilns or the what they call those open hearth furnaces and stuff like that, to contain the molten liquid, the molten metal, and so that's what these bricks did. Also, they used as a heat source. They burned coal, turned coal into coke, and to do that you have to heat the coal to high temperatures with limited oxygen, and they built those big coke furnaces that they made the coke in out of these bricks here.
Probably the brickyards was the catalyst of Mount Union. That's where we basically got our influx of people, the money and everything.
North American had 400 or 500. Harbison Walker had 400 or 500. General Refractories had 300 or 400. I mean, you had 1,500 there.
During that time, Sandy Glass, that came from Shade Gap or Pogue area, would go and recruit African Americans from as far as Philadelphia, that were up north, from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh. One of the managers of the brickyard would go, and he would go down south and oftentimes hand off an African American a one-way ticket, and using the railroad system they would get in a boxcar, pack the boxcar, and they would stop in Mount Union. During that time they were offered employment. 24
hours a day, 7 days a week, making these bricks, hauling them on the trains, guys digging the rocks out of the quarries, crushing them, grinding them, putting the stuff together to make those bricks and send them out so that we could make tanks and airplanes and rifle barrels and whatever. This is the town that created those bricks. It was the first, well, it wasn't the first silica brick production place, but on the scale that they did, Mount Union was the first large scale silica brick manufacturing in the country.
We had a lot of other businesses at the time. We had a bakery. Downtown, it's hard to believe, but we had, 3 shoe stores. Can you imagine that, downtown? We had 2 ladies' clothing stores. We had Saks department store. So, Mount Union was, a hustling, town.
A lot of other industry here. We had the railroad industry, and there was during World War I, there was a big munitions plant out towards the country club. And so they just needed workers. People were coming from everywhere.
The women carried the country during the war with the men gone. In the factories, on the farms, everywhere. They were just called out of the house to do more.
Grafe Sewing Factory come to town, I think that was in 1924, if I'm correct there. That gave a lot of women jobs. They said that there was over 400 women working there at the time. And I can even remember in the 60s and the 70s, that was some of the highest paying jobs.
You should maybe ask your grandmothers or your great-grandmothers about working at the sewing factory, because there were a lot of women. 500 women worked there at a time. And you were talking about the wars, and we didn't mention this earlier, but they made uniforms for the soldiers there. They made a high-quality line of men's clothing too during non-war periods, and that provided income for a lot of families in the community. And we have pictures of them standing outside the factory, all these ladies standing there. There were men that worked there too, people who, repaired sewing machines. There were male tailors and stuff that worked there too. In fact, we have in our other museum, we have a sewing machine, that from there, and it belonged to a guy who was one of their head tailors. But what I was going to say is these women worked there. A lot of women worked there in the town, and it was a place that was a community for women to work. back then it was, women, a lot of times women didn't work, but this town, I'm telling you, was about work. It's about work, about doing the job and getting up in the morning and going to work and doing what you got to do. And they contributed greatly to the economy of the community in the area.
You know what else I remember? I remember Christmas shopping in Mount Union when the shoppers were so many, so plentiful, that you had to elbow your way through the crowd on the streets in front of where the 5 and 10 store is now. I'm not kidding you, there were 4 and 5 people deep. That's how many people were here in the heyday of Mount Union.
Streets were filled with people. The storefronts had businesses. They were all open on Friday night. That's funny because you think that, but Friday night stores were open until 9 o'clock. And the restaurants and all that stuff, there was a lot of people out. You'd always see friends, you walk around and talk.
The Mount Union Fire Department's been open since 1903, of June of 1903. There's been a fire department in this community since 1873, between 78 tax records. Can't find any on the fire department. Continue to serve today with membership approximately 55 to 60 firemen.
Where the fire hall is now was originally the senior high school, and then it became the junior high school. When I went through school, it was a junior high school. And they used to give outdoor concerts down there out in front of the building, and the community would show up. And I can remember lots of times going down with my dad and setting up a music stand. He came here in 1934 as a graduate of Penn State University. He had been in the Penn State Blue Band for all 4 years he's over there. And he left Penn State and played in a band in the Poconos. And was lucky enough, it was during the Depression, and he came here to Mount Union and got the job immediately. And so he started here in Mount Union and stayed for his whole life in Mount Union. He came here at a time when it had a very good core, a good basis for starting music programs. A fellow by the name of Peter Buys, who was the principal arranger for the John Philip Sousa Band, the Marine Corps band, had been in the United States in Mount Union for a couple of years, and had left and gone to Hagerstown, and so it had a good core because of the ethnic backgrounds of all the diverse people that came into Mount Union because of the brickyards, primarily, and the railroads. The European cultures had a strong history of producing strong musicianship and community bands. And so that heritage was brought over to here. And so Mount Union was lucky enough to have this core already established when my dad came to Mount Union in 1934. And so he was able to take that and expand on it due to the school populations increasing, centralization of the schools, and just a general growth in what is being provided in the schools. And so he could expand all that, and he took advantage of that chance to do that. One of the many things he did was establish the first county band in 1938, and I believe I'm correct in saying it's the oldest continuously running county band. I know it is in Pennsylvania, and it may very well be in the nation.
A poster in my classroom that says, it takes a village to make music. It takes music to make a village. And I think in Mount Union, that is very, very true. Music is a part of our everyday lives. Well, I think everybody just always has to work together. We have fantastic kids. We have fantastic parents. Obviously we do concerts that everybody are invited to. And likewise, just showing up for our kids, showing up for all the hard work they put into it, just goes to show them and everybody else that this is something that's important, and that they want to continue. The kids in Mount Union are fantastic. I always tell everybody that I have the best kids anywhere. Anytime anybody asks me about teaching at Mount Union, and they are. They're hysterical. They're funny. They're ornery. Not a bad ornery, just that glint in their eye where you're just like, oh Lordy, what are they getting into?
Here at our state-of-the-art facility, Mount Union prides ourselves in our world-class education.
I was a kindergarten teacher for 33 years, and it was absolutely my passion. I just feel very blessed that I got to have a job that I loved.
I love Mount Union because of the people. The people know me. I know the people. And it's interesting because after teaching 30 years, if I did not know the child personally, by the end of the season, they knew that I knew their parent. And because of that, I planted my roots in here. I went to school here. I came back to teach here. Mount Union gave me something when I left here, a sense of confidence and pride. And I wanted to come back and give back to the community.
I think when the teacher knows the families and outside of school as well as inside of school, it does help to understand the kids and what their needs are.
It's a small school. The teachers really get to know your strengths and your weaknesses, so you get to better learn and you can really excel because they can help you more.
Coming from Mount Union, PA, yes, our students are prepared, but you have to go in with the attitude that you can and you are going to succeed. Otherwise, it can be very difficult for students. And I know, speaking from experience, Mount Union laid a great foundation, but it was up to me at the end of the day to step up and to do the work and to succeed.
I love Mount Union because it has a Morrison Scholarship. And the Morrison Scholarship, it includes the majors that I intend to go for wherever I go in college. So that's basically why I love Mount Union academics.
The Morrison Scholarship was started by Oliver Etnier, and it was named after one of his relatives, John S. Morrison. The Morrison family owned a farm out where the current country club is, and actually their homestead still stands, like right as you're going up the hill. The clubhouse is on the right, and then the farmhouse is right below it. And there's a Morrison cemetery out along the river, right across the road from Dave Solon's house. And so Oliver Etnier made his money in the paper mill business, and he had a mill in Tyrone. And once all of his descendants died off, they left the money for the John S. Morrison Scholarship.
It was always different, and the kids were always excited about what we did, and the teachers were supportive. In high school, Norman was able to do a lot of different things with the kids. At one point, he was able to paint murals on several of the buildings in town. But
Mount Union obviously is doing something right. There are incredible people down there with firsthand knowledge about it, what it takes to be successful, and they're passing that on to our students. And so that's what I'm most appreciative of, is that they go the extra mile to make sure that when you leave those doors, you have some skill set in order to be successful. Not just to get by, but to compete and to thrive.
Mount Union is known for its rich heritage of sports. We like to boast about many state titles that include 3 baseball, 3 track and field, 4 wrestling. This goes with numerous district championships.
I think we have a strong sports program for the youth. They can be in sports year-round, and I think kids need to be involved in some things like that.
Mount Union has a great history. We have people who've become pro athletes that came from this town. We have lots of amateur athletes. We have state track and field champions in our community, right? Long jumpers and triple jumpers, and so your trophy case down there at the high school, if you ever really look at that, you'll be amazed at the stuff that's in there.
We have people that were very instrumental in making Mount Union the place it is in terms of heritage and pride. African Americans that achieved accomplishments were, we had John Helton came here, went and played football and went on to play for Canada. We have Jonathan Martin, who won the state in track and meet. We have Joey Lohner, who won state track and meet.
I just think sports in general, it brings everybody together. There's people from different families that might not associate with themselves, different religions, different races, different cultures. but it's the one thing that they all come together to support each other in. Whether it be baseball, football, it doesn't matter what sport. I think our town does a really good job of supporting each other and showing pride in our sports.
I like how it brings the community together and they support us, and we have a bond over something like football. This past season we had a very good, successful season because of the fans and how they supported us throughout the year. And it just feels good to know someone's behind you all the time while you're out in the field. It's just a good feeling.
I just love the small town feel, knowing who your neighbors are. And currently I like the direction that Mount Union's going. There's a lot of outreach with different organizations such as Planet Lovejoy. The borough seems focused on positively growing the town. We have lots of projects. The students really seem motivated to improve our town, so I'm really excited where Mount Union's going.
We're working with different organizations in the borough and also with the county to improve Mount Union. One of the things I'd like to highlight is our strategic plan that we've developed with Penn State Extension. This strategic plan is aimed at just improving different aspects in Mount Union, different things from business opportunities to recreational opportunities. Two of the things I'd like to highlight from that is that we're trying to work on fixing the Pennsylvania Avenue wall. It is a large project, a difficult project, but we're aggressively trying to seek funding to improve that wall, to fix it, and just trying to be as creative as possible to fix that problem. The other thing I'd like to talk about is the recreational opportunities that we're pursuing in the town. One is developing a Riverwalk.
This year we worked in conjunction with the strategic plan for Mount Union Borough, and we actually had a group of kids doing the Riverwalk, and it's a trail that goes from the Mount Union bypass, all wraps around the entire town to behind the Grace Community Church. We had another group actually build benches for the Riverwalk, and we had another group building signs for the Riverwalk. And with a great community effort, we had 40-50 volunteers each Saturday out there cleaning it up. So we made a lot of headway on it this year. So it's just great to have the kids from the town and the community members at large just coming together for the greater good.
Mount Union is growing as a community. There's a lot of good stuff going on right now, and eventually it's going to be really great. Well, it already is great, but it'll be better.
I'm very Mount Union proud. Proud of the way that people work together for a cause. They help each other.
I believe that a community, a school, or whatever is what you make of it. And I think the best way to experience a community is be part of it, to get out there and be involved in things, in your school activities, when you get out of school, and in community activities, community organizations, doing volunteer work, helping other people. You really get a sense of what a community is supposed to be, and that's what I believe. That's about Mount Unity and Planet Lovejoy and all that stuff. That's all what that's all about, getting people involved with their community.
Planet Lovejoy is an organization we founded, and what we wanted to do with Planet Lovejoy was just do anything for the greater good. We figured something Mount Union could really use. We figured that, we're in our prime of our lives, and it was time to give back to this community that always gave to us. So Planet Lovejoy was founded about 2 years ago. Our first event was Mount Unity. And it was a day where we went out, we cleaned the town, we planted trees. Our whole goal was to get everyone in the town working together. We got the businesses, we got the churches, people just came out and helped, and we cleaned the town. We looked really great. And so this will be our third year of Mount Unity. Last year we made it to an entire weekend.
Things that we do during the weekend, we have a community festival, a Little Miss and Mr. Mount Union pageant, hot dog eating contest, and a lot of things like that. It really is a lot of fun, and we always have a great time.
Kindness 360 Plus was a program that we started on New Year's night.
Kindness 360 Plus is a self-empowerment anti-bullying organization. It was started 2 years ago. We had 2 local elementary schools involved the first year, and now we have 3 local elementary schools involved this year. The kids really enjoy it. What it is to pledge to do 1 act of kindness every day of the year. We have the Mount Union Police involved as well. They have these citations that are for free ice cream or pizza for kids who are showing model behavior. everyone seems to enjoy it, and it is a lot of fun.
Another thing that Planet Lovejoy has been really strongly trying to get here in this town was the linear park. Back in 1989, some borough members like Ed Taliff was part of doing a whole strategic plan of Mount Union, and in that was a linear park, and that ran along the railroad tracks on Pennsylvania Avenue. John Shapiro found a book of this plan, and we were like, wow, we need to make this happen. So a businessman from Du Bois bought the railroad tracks recently, so we talked to him about doing the linear park. He agreed. He actually secured a grant, and we'll be breaking ground on the linear park within the next couple months. Another thing that we did was we saw a need for a lot of the kids in this area, have terminal diseases such as cancer. So we took it upon ourselves to start doing fundraisers. As a matter of fact, there was 5 local kids who have cancer, so we dubbed them the Fab 5 Kids. And we've done everything that we could to raise money to help the families with, medical expenses, traveling expenses. And we've actually helped out a number of families since we started this. We probably helped out maybe 12 different families. So it's been a great experience for us because it rewards us more just knowing we were able to help kids, and it, probably rewards them because it just getting this relationship with these kids that just going through so much. We complain about the small things of life, and here's a kid that's fighting cancer. And so it just really puts things in perspective, and it makes me want to do more, and it makes me want to just do everything that I can to help everybody that has any bit of suffering or need.
I want it to be a thriving community with lots of things for everybody. A place where people want to come and stay and be a part of it all. Where everyone works together, everyone is ready, willing, and able to help in whatever way they can to strengthen the town, to strengthen the people, the kids, be there for each other.
Planet Lovejoy has been real instrumental in the drug addiction that's sweeping our nation right now, and we've been working with the school, we've been working with community at large, we've been working with the police department, the DA's office, just everyone that we absolutely can to bring a new understanding and compassion to this issue. And so we've actually are doing different school events, we're working with different nonprofits, and it's something that we're pretty proud of to be, the leading edge of this. And another thing that we're doing right now is bringing light to sexual and child abuse. We have taken, a role in bringing the awareness in this county. And this month is, we're having a great turnout with Wear Blue, light your porches in blue, blue ribbons everywhere. So we're really proud of where we're going, Planet Lovejoy, and we just hope that everyone would just, join our mission and join our vision and just give a couple hours a week, give a couple hours a month, whatever it is you can give back to the community, just please give, because together we will change this town around, and together I do believe it is changing. So I'm very proud of Mount Union. I love Mount Union, and I love where we're going.
The best way that the community can help is getting involved. And I think there's been different individuals in the community stepping up and trying to get involved and trying to get other people involved. And I think the borough has been very willing to help these individuals and to support them. And I think we're developing good partnerships with different members in the community. I personally would just ask people who want to get involved to come to the meetings, share their thoughts. May not always agree or, but I think the main thing is just to make your voice heard.
That's what participation and volunteering does for a community. It gets people to work together and have more respect for everything in the community.
I love this town because family, the friends that I have here, and just the people. I definitely love the area with the different things you can do. 1,000 Steps, Racetown, the parks. Those are the main things I love. I just love being in this area, and I think it has an opportunity for growth.
I love Mount Union because the people here have always been very welcoming. They are very tolerant of people who have different ideas. This is a beautiful place to live. The pace of life is very nice. You can choose to be super involved and really make an impact in the community, or you can, you can be laid back and have time to yourself. So we feel it was a great place to raise kids, and we feel really fortunate with the friends that we've made in this community and the fact that we were able to help Mount Union become a better place.
We've fallen on hard times, but I'm telling you, with you think about what Mr. Krause and Mrs. Krause here are doing, and all the people that are involved with their organizations, it's being optimistic about the future, and that is one thing that I think Mount Union really has, is a lot of optimism about what's going to be like tomorrow, what's going to be like tomorrow.
I'm Jeremy Krause.
I'm Arnie McClure.
My name is Shanners. I'm Mike Hummel.
I'm Brian Donaldson.
I am Joseph Lohner.
I'm Dave Yoakum.
I'm Gretchen Krause.
I'm Kathy Posey.
I'm Scott Cooper.
I'm Vicki McMillan.
I'm Katie Kristoff.
I'm Cole House.
I'm Kathy Wilson.
Even though we couldn't show you everything about Mount Union, I hope this video helps show you why we love Mount Union.